This conference will now be recorded.
Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam Ragadirogan Sadadanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasrudan Asheshan Avsukya Moha Aradidan Jaghana Yoburva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So, very good evening to all the attendees here, and we are still on the the chapter of Matrashitaya, chapter called Matrashitayam, and we were discussing about the chikilsa of Amavikaras in general, and we saw a couple of slokas which are very important. Chandira Vikaranam Bhavadi Twapatarpanad Trividham Trividhe Doshe Tal Samikshe Prayojed Tatralpe Langhanam Pathyam Madhye Langhanapajanam Prabhude Shodhanam Tadhi Mulad Unmulayed Malan. Tadhi Mulad Unmulayed Malan. Then we came to the next part. Actually, this Tatra Alpe Langhanam Pathyam Madhye Langhanapajanam Prabhude Shodhanam. That portion, when we look into the higher text, Shtanga Sangraham, we find the same concept. There is no any there is no contradiction of any sort. Tatra Langhanam Alpadoshanam. Sangraha tells us Tattu Trividham Langhanam Langhanapajanam Avasejanancha. For Shodhanam, he is using the word Avasejanam. Tatra Langhanam Alpadoshanam. Alpadoshanam Langhanam. And he is using some interesting examples in each of the situations. Here he comments Tena. Tena means Langhanena, Upavasena. He Anilanala Vruddhya Vadadapa Parida Iva Alpa Salilashayuha Alpadoshaha Prasosham Apadyade. Regarding the Upavasa Chikilsa in Alpadosha Amavastha or Amavikara, the comparison is with a water body, Salilashaya, which is Alpaha. Very little water is there in that water body. And such a water body, when exposed to wind and sunshine, without anything else to aid, with this sunshine and wind, this water dries up very easily. No other active involvement or active interventions are required. Alpaha Salilashayaha Vadadapa Paritaha Iva Alpadoshaha Prasosham Apadyade. In Madhya Dosha we find Langhanapajanam. Langhanapajanabhyam Madhya Doshe Vadadapabhyam Pamsu Bhasma Avakiranaihi Pamsu Bhasma Avakiranaihi Iva Cha Anadimahan Salilashayaha. Here, to make the picture clearer, he is using the analog of or example of a water body where there is maybe little more water than the previous one, where a very negligibly small quantity of water was there. Here it is not so. It is somewhat little bit extra, little bit more than what it was earlier. So in such a situation, when such a water body is exposed to Vadatapam, and that Vadatapam, as we saw, is going to contribute in drying up of the water. Apart from that, here the Vadatapa Pamsu Bhasmavakiranaihi, this Vata and Atapa is causing some sort of a depositions of dust and small particles, and also the earlier contribution by the sunshine and that wind, as we saw in the Alpadosha. So here extra contribution by this dust and small particles which are carried in. So with that, this moderate or moderately filled water body dries up. Whereas in Prabhude Shodhanam, that is actually Bahudosha. Bahudoshanam punaha dosha avasejanameva karyam. Dosha avasejanameva karyam. Nahi asravide palvalodaгаughe shalyadi pushtir bhavati. So that field where this shali, some crop of the paddy type, is grown, and if the water is full in that paddy field, you can't expect the paddy to grow properly. You have to drain off the water which is accumulated in excess, without which the paddy is not going to grow. Asravide palvalodaгаughe shalyadi pushtihi na bhavati. Similarly, when there is excessive accumulation of dosha, bahudosha avastha, you cannot expect the body to survive as long as these excessively collected doshas are not drained. You cannot expect the Surya and the Vayu to come and drain or dry up such a vast quantity of water from the paddy field. If at all you wait by that time in which the water is getting or going to be dried, the entire stuff of the shali will be spoiled. So bahudoshanam punaha dosha avasajanameva karyam. So after seeing this, then only we came to evam anyanabhivyadhin swanidana viparyayad chikilsed. That is what we explained in our last session as the last part. Taking this ama dosha chikilsa, tatralpe langhanam pathyam. No, not that. Before that, Shandirama Vigaranam Bhavadi Twapatarpana. Taking lead from that statement, Evam Anyanabi Jvaradin Vyadhin Swanidana Viparyayad Chikilsed. The first line of management for any disease is Swanidana Viparyaya Chikilsa. Swanidana Viparyaya Chikilsa is otherwise known as Hedu Viparita Chikilsa. Then Anubandhetu Sati. Anubandhetu Sati. Hedu Viparyayam Tektva Yadhayadham Vaidyo Yunjyad Vyadhi Viparyayam Tadarthakariva. Anubandhetu Sati. Hedu Viparyayam Tektva Yadhayadham Vaidyo Yunjyad Vyadhi Viparyayam Tadarthakariva. We will see what is written. So first line of management for any disease is Hedu Viparitam. But if the disease continues to exist, denies to heal despite the proper administration of Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, then Vaidyaha Hedu Viparyayam Tyaktva Yadha Yadham Vyadhi Viparyayam Yunjyad. The Vaidya may Tyaktva, having rejected the Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, and may adopt or go for Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. May go for Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. Tadarthakari va or Tadarthakari Chikitsa. So this is what the text advises. So we should look into the details. As we all know, Chikitsa is divided into various categories in Ayurveda based on different approaches, different classification modalities. One such division is this threefold one. That means Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, and Tadarthakari Chikitsa. So we should know what is this Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, what is this Tadarthakari, or what is this Vyadhi Viparita. So here, for clearer ideas about these three types of chikitsas mentioned, we have to find the definitions, how these procedures are or treatments are defined. We will have to go to Ashtanga Sangraha for getting better answers. Because Ashtanga Sangraha, the Vakbhada in Sangraha, or whom I would like to call the Sangraha Vakbhada. Sangraha Vakbhada explains the concept well. But I am almost sure that the way in which it is explained is going to make our concepts, preconceived concepts, upset. Anyway, we will see the corresponding text. Text goes like this. Tasmad, I hope everybody is attending sharply to each and every word, because that is going to the real story, how each word is used and how the meanings are explained. Here Sangraha Vakbhada comments, Tasmad Sandarpana Nimittanam na Andarena Apatarpanamasti Shantihi. Tasmad Sandarpana Nimittanam Vyadhinam na Andarena Apatarpanam Asti Shantihi. Apatarpanam Andarena, Apatarpanam Andarena, Shantihi na Asti. For Sandarpana Janya Vikaras, there is no Shanti without or other than Apatarpanam. Apatarpana Nimittanam cha Nandarena Sandarpanam iti. Apatarpana Nimittanam cha na Andarena Sandarpanam iti. As far as Apatarpana Janya Vyadhis are concerned, there is no other option but to go for Sandarpanam. Then continues, Evam Anyesham Avivyadhinam Yadhaswam Nidana Viparidam Aushadhameva Avacharajayed. This is what Hridaya Vakbhada also told us. Saditu Anubandhe Nidana Viparidam Apasya Vyadhi Viparidameva tadarthakari va. Same thing. This is the 11th chapter of Ashtanga Sangraham Sutrasthana. The next chapter, that means the 12th one, Dvividhaushadha Vijnaniyam or Vividhaushadha Vijnaniyam. We find, as I explained or I told, mentioned earlier, various types of chikilsas categorized into different classes or different types. There we find the explanation for these three types of chikilsas mentioned here. It goes like this. Punarabi trividham. Hedu viparidam, vyadhi viparidam, ubhayarthakari va. The word used is ubhayarthakari. In the chapter 11th it was tadarthakari. In the chapter 12th it is ubhayarthakari. Punarabi trividham, hedu viparidam, vyadhi viparidam, ubhayarthakari cha. Then they are explained in detail. Tatra hedu viparidam guru snigdha shidadije vyadhau लघु रूक्षोष्णादि तथा इदरस्मिन् इदरद. That is हेतु विपरीत चिकित्सा. हेतु विपरीत चिकित्सा is तत्र हेतु विपरीतम गुरु स्निग्ध शीदादिजे व्याधौ लघु रूक्षोष्णादि. In diseases where the cause, the nidana, the hedu is guru snigdha shidadi, the management comes as laghu ruksha ushnadi. So hedu viparidam is the management strategy based on the nidana or hedu. If the nidana is guru guna upayoga, then the remedy or the chikilsa is laghu guna upayoga. If the nidana is snigdha guna upayoga, then the chikilsa is ruksha guna upayoga. All the 20 sharira gunas can be taken into consideration, either each one alone or in combination. Here we can take them. Gurumanda himasnigdha shlakshna sandra mrudu sthiraha gunaha sasukshma vishadaha vimshadi saviparyayaha. And sometimes alone, sometimes in combination. Other principles like karma, vihara, etc. can also be considered here. For example, if the vyadhi is parishrama-janya, then the chikitsa is vishrama. If the vyadhi is jagarana-janya, then chikitsa is swapna. If in parishrama-janya vikara, vishrama is the chikitsa. In swapna-janya vikara, jagarana is the chikitsa. In jwara chikitsa, at one point, we see krodhajo yadi kamena shandim, krodhena kamaja, bhayashogodbhavau tabhyam, bhishogabhyam tadhedarau. So here we find the application of this concept. If you go to the Gulma Chikilsa in Ashtanga Hrudayam, Rukshashidodbhavam tailaihi sadhayedvadarogigai. Rukshashidodbhavam. So the Nidanam is explained in terms of the gunas. Rukshashidodbhavam. Then you go for Snigdha Ushna Prayoga. For that you look into the Tailas explained in a particular prakarana. So basically, Hedu Viparya Chikitsa is all about, please give me all your ears. Hedu Viparya Chikitsa is all about the application of the basic theory of Vriddhi Samanaihi Sarvesham Viparitair Viparyayah. Vriddhi Samanaihi Sarvesham Viparitaihi Viparyayah. So here the logic or the fundamental or the basic is to a great extent very non-technical, or based more on common sense. In Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, the approach is to a great extent common sense, or it is very basic. And the most important factor regarding Hedu Viparita Chikitsa is that we saw in earlier Shanti Rama Vikaranam Bhavati Tvapatarpanad, because Ama Vikaras are Sandarpanotha. So when it is Sandarpanotha, Apadarpana is the Chikitsa. So even the consideration of the dosha is not brought in to the scene here. Even the consideration of doshas or the complexity of the samprapti or the vyadhyavastha vishesham, all these things are basically it's not brought into the intervention plane. That is what is Hedu Viparita Chikitsa in its as conceived by Sangrahavadbhada. Moving further forward, we will see what Vyadhi Viparyayam is. In the text we see like this: Vyadhi Viparidam dvau mulopakramau langhana brahmane panchakarmani vamanadini sadhuma dhupa anjanadini cha tadha vimlapana upanahana padanadini yaccha दोषशमनत्वे सति अपि ज्वरे विशेषतः हितं मुस्तापर्पणगं यवाग्वः च प्रमेहे रजनी यवान्नं च इत्यादि रक्तपित्ते च ऊर्ध्वगे विरेचनम् अधोगे वमनम्. So what is explained? We will sit and relax and then we will see it once again. Vyadhi Viparidam dvau mulopakramau langhana brahmane. So here we find different categories of explanation, different types of Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. One is, or the first one is, Vyadhi Viparidam dvau mulopakramau langhana brahmane. All those types of langhana and brahmana chikitsas, they are considered as mulopakrama, basic treatment. Chikilsitasya hi dvitvad upakramyasya hi dvitvad dvidheyo upakramo mataha. We find it in Dvividhopakramaniya. So that langhana and brahmana chikitsa, then what is the peculiarity of this langhana and brahmana? Are they not coming under the Hedu Viparita Chikitsa? Don't they consider the Hedu? There are questions. I can see the eyebrows raising. But here we should specify the Lankhana and Brahmana Chikitsa as the Chikitsa which are done with the consideration of doshas. Previously, in Hedu Viparita Chikitsa, the consideration of doshas were not there. It is more about the common sense, the logic of the basics. Vriddhi samanai sarvesham viparitair vipadeya. But here, the two types of treatments are administered with a consideration of the doshas. You may please see the details in the Vividhopakramaniyam. Brahmayed vyadhi bhaishajyam adya stri shoga karshidan bharat dhora kshatakshina ruksha durbala murchidan. We will find a list and the correct indications. Similarly, tatra samshodhanaihi sthaulya balavitta kabhadhigan amadosha jvarachardir adisara hridamayihi vibandha gauravodgar hrilasadibhiraduran. A long list. Kimudalpa balernaran up to that line. Please do see it. Then second category of Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, Panchakarmani, Vamanadini, Panchashodhanas. What is the peculiarity of this Panchashodhana? Which has direct connection with the Doshasthana. It is not done randomly. It is done after proper understanding of the Doshasthana. Jnatva koshtha pravannamscha yadhasannam vinirhared. Handyashayuktam vatrena dravyam amashayanmalan khranena cha urdhajatrutthan pakwadhanat gudena cha. Like that, there is a very evident consideration of the doshas and the doshasthanas. Shodhanam. It is specified that yadirayed bahir doshan. Yadirayed bahir doshan panjadha shodhanam hitad. Then other categories like dhumapanam, dhupanam, kabalam, gandusham, anjanam. All those procedures are based on the sthana samshraya of the doshas. Which dosha where? Evam anyana bhivyadhi. Sorry, that dosha, avastha, sthana. Dosha, avastha and sthana. So those procedures basically spin around the dosha. Then vimlapana, upanahana, padanadini, which are part of the Shobha Chikitsa, Shalyam. And again, primarily they are planned and executed based on the doshas and their sthana, and not on the nidana. Generally, of course, exceptions may be there, which are taken for granted. Generally, these procedures are primarily based on the doshas and their sthana, but not on the nidana. Then another class of Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, certain special Shamana Chikitsas like Agriyas, Musta Parpadagam Jware, Rajani Pramehe, and certain Shodhana Chikitsas like Virejanam in Urdhva Rakta Pittam, Vamanam in Adhoga Rakta Pittam. So here in these sort of Shamana Chikitsa and Shodhana Chikitsa, the samprapti of the Vyadhi and the unique influence of this particular Dravya or Chikitsa or Kriyakrama in breaking that chain of samprapti is considered as the most important factor. Despite the fact that these interventions may work at the level of the doshas as well. That is what we see in its original context. Dosha shamanatve sati api jvare visheshato hidam mustaparpadagam yavagvascha pramehe rajani yavannam cha ityadi. Two examples for Shamana Chikitsa. Raktapitte cha urdhvage virejanam adhoge vamanam. Two examples for Shodhana Chikitsa. So there the consideration is the samprapti of the Vyadhi and the unique capacity of Mustaparpadagam and Yavagu in breaking this Jara samprapti. So irrespective of the dosha, let me tell you, irrespective of the dosha. So earlier we told that Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa or the thought of Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa starts from the thought of doshas. If you consider a dosha before you plan a treatment, you are doing a Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. Further, even if you forget the doshas and take the unique samprapti of a Vyadhi or the so-called Vikara Prakriti, Vyadhi Prabhavam, considering the Vyadhi Prabhavam, you opt for a peculiar intervention. Mustaparpadagam jvare, Rajani pramehe, Yavannani cha. That also comes under Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. So that is, first we saw what is Hedu Viparita Chikitsa and then Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa. Now, Tadarthagari or Ubhayarthagari as explained in Sangraha. What about that particular type of treatment? We will see in the text. Ubhayarthakari punaha deva vipashrayam aushadham. Ubhayarthakari punaha deva vipashrayam aushadham. Tadha. So it is not complete. Also, chardhyam chardanam adhisare virejanam madatyaye madhyapanam tuthadagdhe agni pratapanam pitte andarnigudhe vimargageva svedah kattvamlalavana tikshnoshnadya abhyavaharascha bahi pravartanaya swamargapadanaya cha श्लेष्मणि च अंतर्निगूढ़े स्तब्धे बहिः शीतोपचारः तत्पीडितस्य ऊष्मणः अन्तःप्रवेशेन कफः विलयताम् उपयाति एवं विधं हि अविपरीतमेव सद्भेषजं हेतुव्याधि विपरीतमर्थं करोति हेतुव्याधि विपरीतम् अर्थं करोति तदपि उभयार्थकारी तदपि उभयार्थकारी. So here we find two categories or two subdivisions in Tadarthagari Chikitsa or Ubhayarthagari Chikitsa. What are they? Number one, Ubhayarthakarihi puna deva vipashrayam aushadham. We find the use of Deva Vipashraya Chikitsa in many situations, many contexts, from Jwara Chikitsa to till the end. What is Deva Vipashrayam Aushadham? In the same chapter, chapter 12, Sangraham, we find Tatra Deva Vipashrayam Mantra Aushadha Mani Mangala Bali Upahara Homa Niyama Prayaschitta Upavasa Swastyayana Pranidhana Gamana. So a list of various types of interventions. Certain situations, they are types of rituals. Sometimes it is about wearing some precious stones, gems, or whatever it is. Sometimes certain offerings. Sometimes practicing sort of restraint, self-control. Sometimes doing some positive things to somebody as a prayaschitta. Sometimes doing upavasa. Sometimes going out for a pilgrimage, tirthadanam. So a set of activities that come under the heading of Deva Vipashraya Chikitsa. That Deva Vipashraya Chikitsa is seen to cure diseases. Of course, it is more about experiential than experimental. In technical terms, they may be listed as anecdotes. You may not be able to come up with very logical or empirical evidence for all these things. Of course, there may be situations where you can. But by and large, they are considered as, because see, the sort of objectivity you need not get all the time. So sometimes you may also. So that category of procedures, practices, attitudes, which helps in the cure of diseases, but does not come under the previous groups of Hedu Viparita Chikitsa or Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, but which are known to create the equivalent outcomes, artham, effects of Hedu Viparita Chikitsa or Vyadhi Viparita Chikitsa, that is the cure of the Vyadhi, of the disease. Such interventions are known as Deva Vipashraya Chikitsa, and they come under the class Ubhayarthakari or Tadarthakari Chikitsa. That is the first category of Ubhayarthakari Chikitsa. Second category, we find a big list of examples. Chardyam Chardanam. In certain conditions of chardi, we opt to do chardanam. Similarly, adhisare virechanam. In certain conditions of adhisaram, vyadhyavastha, we go for virechanam. Madatyaye madhyapanam. Tuttha dagdhe. Dagdham, it is daham. Agni pratapanam. Tuthasya agni pratapanam, we all know. Pitte Andarnigudhe vimargage va svedaha. Andarnigudhe pitte vimargage va pitte svedaha kattvamla lavana tikshnoshna bhyavaharaha cha. So here Chardanam we explained, Virejanam we explained, in Madatke Madhyapanam, in Tuttha Dagdham we do Agni Pratapanam. That is for dissemination of the accumulated tapam. And now we find Andarnigudhe Vimargageva Pitte Svedaha Kattvamla Lavana Tikshnoshna Bhyavaharaha. This is a tough clinical decision. Andarnigudhe Vimargageva Pitte. Andarnigudha Pittam. Pitta located, Nigudham. It is something like a crypto presentation, concealed presentation. Nigudham. Masked. Antaha. Deep inside. Another option is Vimargage Pitte. Pitta which has gone away from its original locus. Then you take the decision to go for a Svedana. It's clinically very important. Or you go for Kattvamla Lavana Tikshnoshnadi Abhyavahara. Again, a very tough decision. It is there in practice. What is the target? Bahipravartanaya. Bahipravartana of that Andarnigudha Pittam or Vimargaga Pittam. For Bahipravartanam of the Andarnigudha Pittam and for Swamargapadanaya of the Vimargaga Pittam. That has got more frequent examples in the clinical practice. As you all remember, the situation of that Shaghagada Pittam in the Kamala, in Pandu Chikilsidam, as we see it, that is a very unique situation. That's a very unique situation. It need not be coming all the daily practice. It need not come. If you go through Panduroga Chikilsa, we will find Rukshashida, Guruswadu, Vyayama, Bala Nigrahaihi, Kabha Sammurchido Vayuryada Pittam Bahikshiped. That is Vimargaga Pittam. Then the individual will be presenting with Haridra Netra Mutrattvak Shveda Varchastada Naraha. Shveda Varchaha. Outside there is Haridra Mutra Netrattvak. Then Bhavet Sadobhavishtambo Guruna Hridayena cha Daurbalya Alpagni Parshvarti Hidma Swasa Aruji Jvaraihi Kramena Alpe Anushajyeda Pitte Shakha Samashride Pitte Shakha Samashride. That is the Vimargaga. Then what is the line of management? Rasaistam Ruksha Kattu Amlaihi. Rasaihi tam Ruksha Kadu Amlam. Me Paitiga Vikara, you are going to treat with the Ruksha Kadu Amla Rasam. Sikhitittiri Dakshajaihi. Shushkamula Gajaryushaihi Kulathottaischa Bhojayed. Bhrishamla Tikshna Kaduga Lavanošnam cha Shasyade. Sabija Puragarasam Lihyad Vyosham. Then what is the expected outcome? Tadhashayam swam pittamedi. Tadha pittam swam ashayam edi. That is what we find here. Katvam lavana tikshnoshna abhyavaharaha swamarga apadanam. So that is achieved. So that is an ubhayarthakari chikitsa. It is not hedu viparita, not vyadhi viparita, but brings about the outcome of hedu viparita chikitsa or vyadhi viparita chikitsa. That is a cure. Similarly, श्लेष्मणि च अंतर्निगूढ़े स्तब्धे बहिः शीतोपचारः. अंतर्निगूढ़े स्तब्धे श्लेष्मणि बहिः शीतोपचारः. So in kabhaja vyadhi we are using शीतोपचार. How does it work? Talpididasya ushmanaha. Talpididasya tad शीत पीडितस्य ushmanaha antapraveshena. When you make a shita upacharam outside, the tapam from that particular deha desham is compelled or forced to travel inside and reach the destination of the kabha, which is blocked and filled in a particular terrain. That kabha vilayatam upayadi, and the situation improves. Then the explanation concludes, evam vitham hi, of this type, aviparidameva sad bheshajam. Aviparidam. Generally, the bheshajam is viparidam. Viparidam to what? Either viparidam to the hetu or viparidam to the vyadhi. Here, the intervention is aviparidam. It does not come under any of the viparitas in the conventional sense. It is not against the hetu, it is not against the vyadhi. Still, hedu vyadhi viparidam artham karodi. Hedu vyadhi viparidam artham karodi. That type of, or that class of interventions, they are known as tadarthakari or ubhayarthakari chikitsa. So this is how a great bulk of chikitsa, actually this particular text portion, few slokas, that accommodates almost all the concepts of Ayurvedic perspective on how a situation is managed. Everything else come under this major heading as subcategories or subtypes. So this hedu viparita chikitsa, vyadhi viparita chikitsa, ubhayarthakari chikitsa, they are going to be the basic categorization of chikitsa in Ayurveda, and that is explained here in Matrashitaya. So that is what we find here in this couple of slokas in Ashtanga Hridayam. We went into the details given in the Ashtanga Sangraham for better understanding. So coming back to Ashtanga Hridayam, evam anyanabi vyadhin swanidana viparyayad chikilsed anubandhedu sadi hedu viparyayam tyaktva yadhayadham vaidyo yunjyad vyadhi viparyayam tadarthakari va. Then pakve doshe tu idhe cha pavake hidam abhyanjana snehapana vastyadi yuktitaha. Pakve doshe tu idhe cha pavake or vruddhe cha pavake, that is a padhabhedam. Hidam abhyanjana snehapana vastyadi yuktitaha. So earlier we started from a situation where nothing can be done. alasam kshobhidam. That was the condition. Actually, it was alasam and kshobhidam. Amashaye alasi bhudaha. Prayadi northam nadhastad. Aharo nacha pachyade. That was the condition. And we were advised not to give any sort of medicine. Tivrartirapi najirni pibet shulakhanam aushadham, because amasanno nalo nalam paktum dosha aushadha ashanam, dosha aushadha ashanam. So we were just leaving the situation as such, waiting for the body to work on it. We were just giving a chance by adopting the tool of upavasam. Or if it was madhyamam, then okay, we could have done something else. But to start with, there is no option but to go for upavasam. When we can start bhaishajyam, jirna ashane, jirna ashane. So ashanam is jirnam, aharam is jirnam, but dosham is not jirnam. Dosham is still ama. And then yunjyad stabdha gurudare dosha sheshasya pagartham agnehe sandhukshanaya, we were advised to go for pajana deepana. Now, after explaining all these things, the doshas are also pakwa. Pakve doshe idhe cha pavake. So pajanam is attained, deevanam is also attained. Dosha sheshasya pagartham agnehe sandhukshanaya. That is achieved. Pakve doshe vruddhe cha pavake. Then hidam abhyanjana snehapana vastyadi yuktitaha. Yuktitaha. According to the need, according to the situation, appropriately. Yuktitaha. Yukti, that is Vaidya Gunanam, one considered as the best or the Shreshta. So Yuktitaha Abhyanjanam. So up to that, there is no question of Abhyanjanam. Snehapanam, up to that, there is no question of Snehapanam. Vasti, there is no question of Vasti. Up to that. So now, so still all these things are required. That is the question. Still you need Abhyanjanam, still you need Snehapanam? Maybe. Because Aharam is Pakvam, Dosham is Pakvam, still there may be situations which has not come back to their normal situation or normal positions. There may be lakshanas. There may be dhaduk shobhas left behind. There may be srodo vaigunyas left behind. So they are to be addressed. So you may require, because it is not just about the bringing of or achieving of dosha shamanam, but also about bringing some sort of a dhadu samyam. Are they different? Yes, they are different. Always? Need not be always, but most often. There was a flood. All the terrain was flooded, immersed in the water. Properties were damaged, trees fallen, crops gone. Raining continuously. Then day 1, day 2, day 3, rain stopped. Then the breached dams, they are coming under control. Now everything looks normal. But do you think that the damaged, broken houses will be going back to the pre-flood stage themselves? Do you think that the fallen trees will stand up erect themselves? It is not going to happen. Do you think that the drains which were damaged due to the flooded water, they will become back? Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, sir. Now you can be heard.
Sorry, I had a call in between, that's why I was broken in between, sorry. So that cannot be achieved by themselves. You may require further interventions, wherein that dhatu kshobham, srodo vaigunyam, all these things can be rectified, and the sort of dhatu samyam, swasthyam can be reinstated, and make sure that हेतौ लिंगे प्रशमने रोगाणाम अपुनर्भवे. That is one important point. For that, for avoiding that punarbhavatvam, you have to clean or rinse off even the memory. Nivrittopi punarvyadhihi alpenayadi heduna dehe margikritai dehe margikrite doshaihi. So the sharira is, after any vyadhi, sharira is doshaihi margikritam. Shariram is doshaihi margikritam. So that memory is there. Even that is to be cleared. So you will definitely require this sort of abhyanjanam, snehapanam and vastyadi yuktitaha. So such procedures can be done when you have this pakve doshe tvidhe cha pavage hidam abhyanjana snehapana vastyadi yuktita. So with that, I think we will conclude today's session. The next portion, which is a fresh one, we will start in our next class. Thank you.
Yes, definitely, sir. We will take few questions if they are. So we have one question. I will read it. Sir,
Yes, yes.
yeah. The question is, what is meant by dosh pakva avastha?
Dosha pakva avastha means the avastha where the doshas have come out of the ama. This way explained in the doshovakramaniya chapter, that srodoro, considering each dosha, srodorodha balabramsha gauravanilam mudhada alasya bhaktinishtiva malasangarujiklama lingam malanam samanam niramanam. That niramata is not considered as the pakva avastha. Nirama avastha is the pakva avastha. And in various textbooks we will find many other detailed explanations, like that वायुस्सामो विबन्धाग्निसारस्तन्ध्रान्ध्रकूजनैः वेदनाशोभनिस्तोदैः क्रमशोऽङ्गानि पीडयन् विजरेद् युगपत् चापि गृह्णाति कुपितो भृशम् स्नेहाद्यैर्वृद्धिमायादि सूर्यमेघोदये निशि निरामो विशदो रूक्षः निर्विबन्धो अल्प. So that nirama avastha is known as the pakva avastha. Okay, it's clear, I think.
The Nigu, hello,
Hello.
hello. Niguda kapha and pitta, how can we identify or clinically how the presentations will be, sir?
There are two examples given there. So regarding the pitta, I think we explained that Kamala, that is actually Vimargada Pittam. In the same way, you feel that it is a clinician's decision or understanding. You feel that there is pitta inside causing various type of pitta related symptoms. It is to be brought back to the surface. That means opposite of that nigudha. That should be made somewhat gocharam. In such conditions, we do certain treatments which will look like pittavardhaka. And that pittavardhaka chikitsa, actually that pushes the pitta from that gudhavastha. You just remember that many clinical situations are there where we use this. One excellent example could be this hot flushes which you feel in with the ladies in post-menopausal condition or perimenopausal condition. Actually, there is pitta which is andar nigudha in their body, which is not supposed to be there. That pitta, once that menopause is achieved, is supposed to come and join the original source of the pitta. That means the grahani sthita pajaka pitta. But that need not happen all the time. So the patient will be coming with the presentation of recurrent hot flashes. And we tend to treat it with Shitopachara, which is not going to work. There you require Pitta Vardhaka Chikilsa and force the Pitta to be driven back to its original seat in the Pakwa, in the Koshta. That means the Grahani. So such clinical situation, actually it is a decision of the Vaidya. We will find in Sutrasthana, Vyayamad, Ushmanastaikshniyad, Ahidajaranadabi, Koshtat Chagasti Marmani, Drudatvan Marudasya Doshayandi, Tatha Tebhya, Srodo Mukha Visodhanad, Vruddhya. That potential we are using actually, Vruddhya, with the induced Vruddhi, a hidden dosha inside, andar nigudha dosha, can be taken back to its seat in Koshta. Vruddhya. Abhishyandanad, Pagad, Koshtam, Vayoscha Nigraha. They are different story. So that Vruddhya is being used. So actually, it is it is looking like aviparita. It is aviparita bheshajam. Still, it is going to give you the outcome of a hedu viparita or vyadhi viparita type of bheshajam. Got the idea?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So the next question, I will read it out. How can we understand Lakshana of Alpa Madhya Dosha?
Oh, I think the same question I have faced and answered maybe 10 times in our entire sessions from the our beginning. Not in this time, not this time, but from the actually two factors. In the last session also, I think we explained. See, Lakshana of a dosha is the basic criteria. Lakshana. So see the balam, actually these are all about the balam. Sankhya vikalpa pradhanya bala kala visheshataha. We find the division of samprapti, isn't it? Find the division of samprapti. And in this Ashtanga Sangraha Sutrasthana itself, we will find one chapter called Bheshajavajarniyam. And in the Bheshajavajarniyam, we find how the strength or the bala of a dosha can be understood. It is based on the presentations. If the presentation is full-fledged, that is one criteria of understanding whether the dosha is prabala or not. Instead, only certain features are presented, most of them are absent, then it is an alpabala dosha. So these are all based on the clinical observation. Actually, how this is understood, that is one major crisis. In the Bheshaja, actually in Bheshajavajarniya, Vakbhada, that Vritha Vakbhada or Sangraha Vakbhada actually makes a statement that without constant observation and practice, it is impossible to understand these sort of vikalpas of the doshas. Sukshmani hi dosha aushadha dushya desha bala kala anala ahara rasa satmya sattva prakriti vayasam avasthandrani. So they are very sukshma, very subtle. We have to understand them by constant observation. There is no shortcut. If you go through this Bheshajavajaraniyam chapter, we will find that these factors are all depending upon or dependent upon the spectrum of presentation. How far it is full-fledged, how far it is limited. Sometimes we find, if I just let me see one particular line from that Bheshajavajarniyam. One clue that the text gives is also try to understand how much support a particular dosha enjoys from the nidana side. Mrudu madhya adimatra vigalpanaya kadham nidanam asevidam. Egarupasya abihi hedoho mrudu adi vibhagena पृथक् समवेदानां दोषाणां अंशांश बल विकल्प विशेषाद् व्याधेर बलाबल विशेषः. That व्याधेर बलाबल विशेषम can be taken as such ditto in the case of doshas as well. So how much support a particular dosha enjoys from nidana, that can be considered as one point. How independent the dosha is to manifest itself with its lakshanas. That is another idea which will give you whether the dosha is mrudu, that alpa, madhyama or prabhuda. So taking these basic criteria into consideration and by constant observation, you will be able to make out whether a particular disease is having a dosha in the alpavastha, madhyamavastha or prabhudavastha. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. One last question we will take and we will conclude, sir. The question is, sir, difference between Nirama Avastha and Samadosha.
Nirama dosha and amadosha, samadosha or nirama avastha and samavastha of doshas. What is the question? Nirama avastha.
Yes, Nirama Avastha and Sama Avastha of the doshas.
Nirama avastha and sama. Is the question based on the lakshanas, or you want to get the original idea or the exact picture what is happening when a dosha is sama or when a dosha is nirama? other than the Lakshanas?
Other than the Lakshanas, sir. Yeah, other than the Lakshanas, what exactly is happening?
Yes. If it is other than the Lakshana, we will take another session for that. Because that has to touch what ama is and how the ama status is going to affect the working status of a particular dosha and all these things, which is actually the crux of the story. So I think we will take it as a different session. So I think many areas I propose as we will take as different session. So please note which all things we are keeping it as a separate session and remind me kindly later so that we will arrange it. Because that particular question in that plane, if it is just about the Lakshanas, it is a 1 minute question or 2 minute question. But if the way in which I can satisfy Ashwin in his original sense, I think it is a long session. We will discuss it later. Okay.
Yes, sir. I will note it down so
Yeah.
that we can have a session for all these queries.
In our last session, somebody asked to explain that remaining portion of our Subhava Brahmatman Charaka Sambandha. We have the concept of Ama. Similarly, previously also we might have offered to take separate sessions on different topics. We will do it definitely.
Yes, sir. Definitely. We will note it down and we will have a session for each session for all these queries.
Yes. We will.
Maybe extra session in the week, sir.
Yeah. Let Nilesh plan it and let me know. And then at that particular day, we won't go through the text, but instead we will discuss this topic alone.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I think it's almost 9:15.
Yeah. We will stop.
We'll conclude for today's session, sir.
Shubhratri to all of you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Shubharatri, sir.